What is up, mortal? Shara Zorel is back with a new video for you. Welcome to Season 4, Part 2 of What If Izuku Was a Stand User. Anyway, with that out of the way, sit back and relax. You guys are in for a treat. So, we begin. 5 hours after leaving his students to fend for themselves in the Beast Forest, Aizawa was with Mandalay and Pixie Bob as all 19 members of Class A had finally arrived to camp. Everyone was exhausted, starving, and looked as if they needed a bath, with Mineta looking the worst of the bunch as he was still reeling from his injured arm. "Hey, I thought you said this was gonna take a couple hours," Sero whined as he and the others took a moment to relax. "Yeah, we may have timed it based on how well we would have done compared to you guys," Pixie Bob answered. "Sorry, but hey, you kids did great, and it looks like none of you ran into any of the bears out in the forest either." "Yeah."
"Wait, there were bears in that forest?"
Kaminari gasped. "Oh yeah, there's loads of animals here, including the occasional bear or two," Mandalay answered. "Aizawa told us one of you students can talk to animals, so we felt it wouldn't be too big of an issue." Most of the students didn't take that nugget of information well. Izuku, however, shook that statement off as he came forth about Mineta's troubles. Excuse me, Pixie Bob? One of our students needs medical attention. I think his arm's broken." The grape juice student stepped forward as the blonde pussycat gazed at Minoru and his injury. I take it Pixie went a little too hard on the little man, huh?" Mandalay pondered out loud. "Her dirt monsters have always been known to land a hard wallop. Coda, sweetie, could you take this boy inside and have Ragdoll help him out?" The child standing beside her didn't respond to her request as Mineta approached the boy, muttering about how badly he needed first aid. But as soon as he got within range, Coda took a few steps forward and kicked the student in the crotch as Minoru dropped to the ground in even worse pain than before as everyone reacted in shock, with Izuku and Kaminari rushing to the boy's aid.
"Coda, what is wrong with you?"
Oh my god, I am so sorry, young man." The brunette pussycat went to check on Mineta as Midoriya asked the purple-haired teen if he was okay, but all he got in response was whimpers of defeat and pain.
"Hey, what's the matter with you, kid?" Kaminari yelled. "You don't just kick another guy in the balls when he's badly hurt. Do you have any idea what we've been through today?"
"I don't care. The last thing I want is to help a bunch of wannabe heroes."
"Excuse me, what?"
Aizawa pinched the bridge of his nose as he felt this week was not off to the kind of start he had envisioned. As Mandalay picked Mineta up and brought him inside, Aizawa told the students to get their things off the bus and into their rooms so they could have dinner, bathe, and sleep for the training that would be awaiting them tomorrow. That night, the Class A guys were in their room as practically everyone was sound asleep, except for Midoriya, who tried looking up any hero news he could on his phone, but sighed in disappointment as there was barely any service on his phone. As such, he decided to tuck in for the night. As he closed his eyes, he remembered an earlier conversation he had with Mandalay and Pixie Bob about Coda's parents and how they were murdered. This happened after Mineta somehow climbed up the wall separating the men and women onsens earlier, despite his injured arm, which turned out to be a moderately sprained wrist, according to Ragdoll. Shortly after, Coda somehow fell down the wall and was caught by Izuku's stand. Upon noticing the boy was passed out with a bloody nose, Midoriya brought him to the pussycats to be checked up on. Mandalay mentioned that after his parents were murdered, she took him in, and he developed a hatred towards Hero shortly after, as he believed his pro-hero parents abandoned him when they died in the field. He couldn't imagine being in his shoes and having to go through something like that, especially since it resulted in a hatred towards heroes, a group of defenders everyone he knew growing up admired. He felt he wanted to speak to Coda personally to understand his side of this, and see if there was something he could say to help him out. But he was too tired for that now. He slowly drifted to sleep. Or so he thought, as he was interrupted by the sounds of discontent, moaning, and anxious breathing coming from the mattress next to him. The boy causing the noise, Yuga Aoyama, got up from his mattress and quietly headed for the door, which Izuku noticed. Hey, Aoyama, where are you going?" The French exchange student anxiously jumped at Midoriya's words and turned towards the greenette. "Oh, Midoriya! Well, my tummy's still hurting from the bus ride today, along with that exercise we did fighting our way to camp. I'm just going outside for some fresh air. Oh, do you want me to come with you? Keep you company? No, Midoriya, there's no need. I appreciate the offer, mon ami, but I'll be fine. I'm just going outside for a bit. I'll be back. Aoyama quietly shut the door, leaving Izuku to briefly ponder to himself about the annoying side effect of Aoyama's quirk, before shifting the topic of his thoughts to tomorrow's events. Well, first day of camp is down, with roughly 6 more to go. I've got 2 things to do here before I leave. I have to get stronger with my stand, and most importantly, find the perfect time to talk to Hagakure about Josuke's adopted sibling. Oh, and see what's going on with Mandalay's cousin and try to understand why he hates heroes so much. I still have no idea how I'm going to tell Hagakure about this whole Shizuka thing. Well, I've got a week to think about a way to do it. Maybe some sleep will give me an idea. Shortly after, Izuku drifted off to sleep, with the first day of camp down and roughly 7 more to go. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes free. Link in the description below. Now, back to the video! The next morning, the students of Class B were outside with their teacher, half awake and wishing to be back in bed, as most of them made the mistake of staying up later than Class A to celebrate their outing at camp. Vlad told his students that for the duration of their stay, they would be working on improving their quirks, and that their rival class was already in the process of doing just that. The Blood Hero led his students through the forest, telling everyone to ready themselves for what would be in store for them. So Vlad, I get that we need to improve our quirks and all, but our class has over 20 different powers. What kind of training is gonna help us all? Tokage questioned. Vlad gave his students a quick explanation that quirks were similar to muscle fibers, where constant workouts make your muscles grow thicker and stronger, and how quirks are similar in this regard. As such, Vlad told his students that to get stronger quirks, they would have to break themselves. Class B laid their eyes on their rival class scattered across the clearing, going through various quirk-building exercises, with some looking more painful to watch than others. The only thing that came to their mind was how hectic this was all gonna be. Shortly after, Aizawa and all 4 members of the Wild Pussycats introduced themselves to the students as they gave Class B further context as to what they would be doing for the next 6 days, and how important it was to go plus ultra with their training. After Aizawa's and Vlad's speech, Tiger stepped forward. All right, those with strength-focused quirks are with me. For the rest of the week, you'll be students under my strength-building bootcamp. Class A are already sweaty, so you better catch up to them quick! Tiger blitzed his way to Midoriya as he was sweating up a storm and being spectated by most of Class B. Come on, Midoriya, sweat it! N1, N2, N3, N4, come on, feel it, show me what you got! Wait, show you what? Tiger didn't answer Izuku's lightheaded question as the pro hero threw a massive paw on Midoriya's head, but Act 3's arm appeared from the boy's body and blocked the incoming strike. Izuku's stand, acting on its own volition, retaliated by kicking the pussycat in the abs, sending Tiger flying back 25 feet and landing by a tree. Izuku jolted out of his giddy state as he gasped at the knockdown pro. Act 3, what are you doing? Oh jeez, is he out? The greenette heard several gasps behind him and turned to see most of Class B look at Izuku with a slew of mixed reactions as the greenette muttered out a very awkward, hi, as he shakily waved to the somewhat impressed students. Dude, that Midoriya guy is so spooky, Class B's Yanagi muttered. Several of the students around the ghost girl gave her an odd look to that compliment, while Monoma squinted his eyes at Midoriya. Yeah, that guy's a real mystery, all right. Before anyone could say anything else, Tiger shot back towards Midoriya and slapped the teenager in the stomach before his stand could react and block the hit, sending Izuku flying into a nearby tree so hard he almost fell unconscious from the impact.
You thought that you could hurt me? Ha! Lesson 1, Midoriya. Never let your guard down when your opponents are down. Mistakes like that can be the difference between life and death. Now come on! It's only your first day, young man. Show me what it means to be plus ultra!
Yes, sir. Izuku wheezed as he shakingly tried to get back to his feet. In the crowd, Class B Sen Kaibara shook with anxiety as he patted Shishida's arm, telling the B student that it's been nice knowing him, as he had a feeling that the two of them would be training with Tiger for the week. And seeing how Izuku struggled to get up, he didn't have a good feeling as to how it would go. Hours later, after everyone's first day of training, Mandalay and Ragdoll stood by several tables loaded with vegetables, meats, rice, and other cooking supplies as Ragdoll told the tuckered out students that they would be responsible for cooking and preparing their own meals from this point on. With some big sisterly words of encouragement by Kendo and Yayorozu, along with a class decision of who would be responsible for what, Izuku was assigned to chop the vegetables alongside Sato, Ojiro, and Kirishima. 10 minutes passed into the boys' prep as Izuku and the boys spent most of the time talking about the training they all went through earlier alongside other topics of discussion like pro heroes, video games, their favorite animes, and their hobbies outside of hero work. The discussion between the four continued until Todoroki brought the boys a box full of vegetables to be prepared. Before Shoto left though, he approached our green-haired protagonist.
Hey, Midoriya, do you have time to talk in private for a minute?
Izuku turned to the recommended student and answered that he might have some time to talk, asking if everything was all right.
Yeah, everything's fine. I just want to talk about what we spoke about a couple of weeks back involving my father. Do you mind?
Midoriya immediately remembered the discussion he was referencing and agreed to Shoto's request. He asked Ojiro and the others if he could leave for a minute, as his classmates gave him a friendly go-ahead. Midoriya dropped what was in his hand as he and Shoto walked away from the other students before Todoroki turned to Midoriya.
I know you and the others are busy, so I won't make this too long. I just wanted to thank you for what you said during lunch that day involving my father,
Shoto stated.
To be honest, I don't talk about my family problems to other people. If I have any issue with my father or anything else, I either keep it to myself or talk about it with my older sister. But for some reason, I didn't have this trouble with you. Maybe it was because we were all grieving over Ida and I needed someone new to open up to, but I'm not certain. Anyway, I thought about what you told me about my quirk and how my power was mine and not my father's. Honestly, Midoriya, you were right about everything that day. Ever since I was young, I wanted to be a hero. I wanted to be one more than anything, but I was always afraid that if I used my left side in a fight, that it would be the first step to becoming the kind of monster my father was. But you were right. I'm not my father. I may have inherited his fire, but I can be my own hero, so I'll try to be more open with using both my ice and fire from here on out. You really helped me see everything in a new light, Midoriya, so I wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome, Todoroki. I'm glad I could help you get some clarity with your troubles. And, well, I don't mind chatting again about other stuff you need to get off your chest. Shoto smiled at Midoriya's answer as he looked at the ground for a moment before the dual-colored student looked back at Midoriya.
Midoriya, if I may ask, this may come off as random, but you seem really good at giving people advice. Are your parents psychologists or something?
Wait, what? Izuku became puzzled from that odd question, asking Todoroki why he wanted to know that.
Well, my sister told me that if someone's really good at something, it's usually because someone gave them the ropes on how to do it. You seem really good at giving people advice with their problems, so I thought your parents might be psychologists and taught you how to help people with whatever issues they're going through. That's why I asked.
Oh, well, no. My parents don't do anything like that. My mom's a stay-at-home mom, and my dad works overseas to support us. I haven't seen him in over a decade. Todoroki muttered a under his breath as he thought for a second about that last thing Midoriya said.
You have no idea how much I envy that.
Shoto muttered. Wait, what was that?
Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it.
Hey, you two!
The conversation between Izuku and Todoroki was interrupted as Tiger approached the Class A duo.
Sorry to break up the chit-chat, boys, but Aizawa sent me over to inform you that he wants to have a word with you, Midoriya. Said it was about your training from today.
Oh, jeez, this isn't about what happened earlier when my when I hit you with my power earlier, is it?
You're still hung up on that? Tiger asked. Come on, kid, that's water under the bridge. I've taken worse knocks than that over the years. You can't sweat over little stuff like that. Trust me, it's not a good habit. Anyway, Eraser needs to see you.
Todoroki nodded to Tiger's request as he felt he took up enough of Izuku's time and went back to help the others with dinner, thanking Izuku again as he walked off. After that, Midoriya followed Tiger towards Mr. Aizawa, who was with Vlad King along with a familiar face from Class Speed that our green-haired protagonist remembered in a somewhat intimidating way.
Ah, hello, Midoriya. I take it all's well with you.
Aizawa asked as Izuku nodded to his sensei.
Right. Anyway, I'll make this quick. I've been taking peeks at your training today, and based on what I saw, along with some personal input from Tiger, I think we need to change up your training to make something tougher for you.
Tougher?
Midoriya parroted with anxiousness. That's right. The purpose of this camp is to push your body to its absolute limit. That's how your quirk's gonna get stronger, Midoriya. And Tiger and I agree that we have to give you the right training to accomplish this.
Bingo! Vlad added, joining the conversation. As such, me and Aizawa came up with a new training regimen for you. One that'll require a workout partner who'll whip you into shape, while also strengthening her quirk in the process. Like how Kirishima and Ojiro from your class are. I'm sure you remember Setsuna Tokage from the UA Sports Festival. Well, she's gonna be your training partner for the next week. We'll speak again after dinner as to what you two will be doing together, but for now, we wanted to let you know what's happening. Before I leave though, I just want to say something to you, Midoriya. Tokage is one of my class's top students. She's not only gonna make your quirk stronger, but I'm trusting you to help her get stronger in the process. Don't disappoint me.
Right, I'll do my best, sir, Izuku mumbled. Vlad nodded at the boy as he and Aizawa left to watch over the other students. Setsuna, however, approached Izuku with her hands behind her back, flashing her new workout buddy a pointy-toothed grin. It's nice to see you again, Midori. Looking forward to playing with you instead of playing roughhouse like we did a few weeks back. Just a heads up though, I go hard when it comes to my personal training, so you better bring your A game with whatever our teachers got lined up for us, you dig? Izuku smiled at the green-haired girl and gave her a reaffirming nod. Definitely. I expect the same from you, Tokage. Later that night, supper was ready as Izuku sat with his class with his curry and homemade bread as he clapped his hands together and dug in with his first spoonful. The curry wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. But after today's workout, he could care less about the quality of food. As he was eating, he heard Mandalay call out to her cousin to come and eat. However, Izuku spotted the child walk off into the woods from the corner of his eye. Feeling worried about the boy, Izuku excused himself as he followed Kota's footsteps into the forest, but not before grabbing a bowl of curry for the child, as he felt he would need it. Izuku followed the footprints for what felt like 10 minutes, as the trail led up to a cliff overlooking the entire camp. He took a moment to take in the view of the forest and the starry sky as he continued up the path, spotting Kota not long after, sitting by himself with his stomach growling loudly.
I figured you'd be hungry,
the greenette said as Kota's head quickly turned in annoyance. What the? What are you doing here? How did you find my secret hideout? Kota defensively asked.
Secret hideout? Oh, well, I followed your footsteps. Mandalay called you for dinner, but I saw you walk off into the forest instead. I just wanted to make sure you were okay, that's all. I also brought you something to eat since I figured you might need it.
I'm fine, Kota snarked. I don't need your company. I just want to be alone right now. Get lost! And you better not tell Mandalay about my secret hideout.
The greenette was silent for a moment. He felt now was the best time to bring up what Mandalay told him yesterday about Kota's parents, but didn't know how he would react to the topic. He anxiously swallowed the lump in his throat and asked away. Hey, so, about your parents, were they the water hose heroes? The ones with the water quirks?
Kota snapped at that question, asking the boy if Mandalay told him about his parents.
Well, no, she didn't say anything about them. Well, nothing too much. It's just, I remember reading about what happened to them several years back. She told me that you have a water quirk and, well, I kind of put the two together and assumed they were your parents.
Kota again told Midoriya to beat it, telling him that he hated this world and how everyone called each other heroes and villains and killed each other while trying to get stronger with their powers. Even mentioning that had his parents not shown off as much as they did, that they would still be alive. Izuku couldn't understand the boy's anguish. He didn't hate heroes as he thought. He hated the status quo of the whole superhuman society, quirks and all. Midoriya could relate to this. He thought he could ease Kota's burden by telling him a fabricated story of how he used to be quirkless at one point, saying that he knew a friend that was born quirkless but wanted to be a hero more than anything, but knew he couldn't be one without a power. The point of his story was to tell Kota that despite his hatred towards quirks and the unfortunate events he experienced, his life would be far more difficult if he pushed quirks out of his life and should learn to embrace them. That lesson did nothing to ease the boy's troubles as he again yelled at Midoriya to leave him alone. At this point, the stand user knew there was nothing he could say that would change Kota's stance on the world he lived in. He ended the interaction by placing his curry down on the ground and walked back to camp, internally hoping that Kota could find some kind of peace with this world he's grown to hate through sheer misfortune. The day after, Midoriya and his workout partner Tokage were standing 20 feet apart, staring each other down like American cowboys in the midst of a Western duel. It was 4 hours into their third day of camp as the green-haired students were ready to spar once more. "All right, Parsley, you ready to go again? We'll stop for a break after this. You look like you could use a breather." "I'm not exactly the one breaking a sweat here, Tokage. But sure, we'll take 5 after this. Come at me with all you got!" Setsuna grinned at the boy as Midoriya pressed a nearby button, triggering a 60-second countdown as the girl split into 30 or so pieces and flew her body parts towards Izuku as he summoned his stand to ready himself for Tokage's barrage. Midoriya's new training was a team-focused form of keep away, but with a twist. Tokage focused on splitting her body up into as many pieces as possible to send towards Midoriya. However, Izuku wasn't her target. Instead, it was a sensor ball behind Midoriya the size of a beach ball anchored to the ground with a metal pole. A piece of technology shipped overnight thanks to the quick design efforts of Mei Hatsume and Power Loader. Tokage would have 60 seconds to get as many strikes onto the sensor ball as possible, while Midoriya's job was to use his stand to defend the sensor by knocking back any pieces that came into his way. This training was meant to have Setsuna strategize different approaches against Midoriya's invisible defense while pushing her to increase the number of pieces she can split into, further pressuring Midoriya's defense and strengthening Midoriya's combat effectiveness with his stand at the same time. The first time they tried this, Tokage got 26 hits and she was focused on getting an average score of around 40 by the end of the week. But Izuku would not make this easy for her. Act 3 was far faster than the Act 2 stand Setsuna previously dealt with, as she quickly took note of Izuku's increase in power and speed since the sports festival, as the 60-second timer sounded off with the sensor announcing a score of 29 hits. The Dino Girl took a moment to catch her breath as she was both impressed and curious as to how Midoriya was still able to hold back her attacks after all these hours of training with no signs of slowing down. She thought about asking him about it at some point, but for now she was dying of thirst and needed to take 5. She reassembled her body, grabbed her water bottle, and sat on the ground beside Midoriya. 29. All right. You're getting stronger, Tokage, Izuku complimented. Either that or you're getting slow on me, Parsley. I'm just teasing you. I noticed that you've gotten stronger too since our scrap at the sports festival. I'm impressed. Thanks, Izuku said as he took a swig of his water bottle. Hey, why do you keep calling me that, by the way? What, Parsley? Tokage guessed as Izuku nodded. It's a nickname based on your hair. Some of the kids in my class think you have broccoli hair, but to be honest, I don't see it. Your hair looks more like parsley than broccoli to me, so I'm gonna call you Parsley from now on. You okay with that? Parsley? I suppose. So, do you call everyone in class by a nickname? Nah, I tried it with some of the girls in my class, but it never picked up. I used to call Kamakiri Scyther for a while, though. You know who Kamakiri is, right? Tall kid in my class with the blades? No, not really. Well, he eventually got annoyed by it and threatened to beat me up if I didn't stop. Don't worry, he wasn't serious. Kendo just stepped in and told me to knock it off. Oh, you don't say. Yeah. Oh, speaking of, did you hear what happened last night with that Mineta guy and how Kendo knocked his lights out? Oh yeah, I heard about that. He drilled a hole into the onsen walls and tried peeping on you and the others in your class. But Ashido, Jiro, and Yamamo stopped him before he could see anything. Sorry about him, by the way. Mineta's always been girl crazy, but he's been a little extra girl crazy since coming here. It's fine, the lizard girl brushed off. Seeing Kendo knock his lights out with one punch was so worth it. We had an all-girls sleepover afterwards, so it wasn't all bad, but alright. I'll put a no-go on the parsley thing and stick to calling you Midoriya. Setsuna looked at Izuku take another drink of his water as he checked out the other students. She felt this was the best time to tell Midoriya something that's been on her mind for a while. Normally, the Dino Girl had no trouble chatting to anyone about most topics, but she felt a bit of restraint with this one. The girl exhaled and went for it. So, Midoriya, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. Boy to girl. I wanted to butter you up first before I told you since it's kinda heavy. It's about your late friend, Ida. You cool talking about it? Midoriya looked back at the girl as he noticed her usual teasing smirk was replaced with the somewhat serious complexion, something Midoriya had not seen since meeting her. Well, it depends. What's up? Well, I felt you should know. Back when Ida was, well, murdered, I'm the one that found him and reported his death to the police. Wait, seriously? Izuku questioned as his eyes widened in surprise at what Tokage just said. Yeah. You see, after I won the sports festival, well, by technicality, I got an offer to intern with the pro hero Endeavor at his agency. Wait, Endeavor? The number 2 hero? Izuku interrupted. I thought he only worked with heroes with fire-based quirks. Yeah, I think Hananuki told me the same thing, but guess not. Anyway, at first I thought, holy crap, the number 2 hero wants me? Why the heck not? So I applied for his internship and went in with high spirits and all. Well, turns out when I arrived, Endeavor acted like he wanted nothing to do with me. His sidekick Vernon told me it was because that Todoroki guy in your class didn't go to his agency and, well, he didn't take that so well. So for the first 2 days, I barely got to work with him and instead hung out with Vernon. I mean, it wasn't too bad. I mean, she's awesome. But I came to the agency to be with Endeavor, not her. By the 3rd day, Vernon convinced him that despite the Todoroki situation, he had a duty to train me. So he took me out on a nighttime patrol out in Hosu City, but within 10 minutes of arriving, the place was attacked by some kind of monster. I think Endeavor called them Nomus? After they were dealt with, I kid you not, on the rooftop of one of the nearby buildings, I spotted the hero killer Stain hunched over the edge of the rooftop he was on, watching me like one of those stone gargoyles you see on those American-style buildings. My first thought was to tell Endeavor about the hero killer, so I split my mouth from my head to go warn Endeavor while the rest of my head flew after Stain so I wouldn't lose sight of him. But as soon as I got close, he pointed his blade at me and said, "Choose your next actions carefully. I killed one of you UA kids not long ago. Do anything rash, and you'll join him." I thought at first he was messing with me, but I looked at his blade and it was dripping blood, as if he stabbed someone with it just a minute ago. That's when I panicked. My mouth got to Endeavor and told him about the hero killer, but he fled the scene as soon as I told him. I was so frozen in the moment, I didn't even go after him. I don't know why. I guess I was just trying to process what he said. Endeavor tailed the guy, but told me to keep away as he went after him. As he flew off, I snapped out of it and split my eyes up and searched every nearby alleyway where the hero killer could have been. It took me just a minute to find him. And yeah, there he was, alongside another pro hero who was murdered. I told Endeavor the news and he was not happy, but his reaction was nothing compared to Manuel's. I think he was Ida's mentor at the time. When he found out what happened, he just broke down in front of everyone. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to witness, so I don't know. I know you and Ida were good friends, so I felt that I should let you know that I was the one who found his body and reported it. Oh man, Tokage. Izuku gasped, taking a few seconds to process what she said. Well, thanks a ton for that. I can't imagine that was an easy experience for you. Yeah, it was pretty rough. But this is what we signed up for, you know? Being a hero isn't about TV interviews or merchandise deals. It's about the nitty-gritty, keeping the peace and all. Setsuna took another gulp of her water as Izuku noticed the girl's smile looked a little shaky, as if there was some kind of pain she was hiding behind her smile. Midoriya recognized that kind of expression as the same look most of the students in his class had after returning from their internships. The stand user felt she had some kind of lingering trauma from that night, and he couldn't blame her. As he looked at his partner, Midoriya came up with something to get her mind off of what she had experienced. He didn't know how she would react if Midoriya thought it was kind of cheesy, but after what Tokage said and everything she went through, he had a newfound respect for the girl and felt it would be worth the attempt.
Kale.
Huh? What did you say? The girl asked, gazing back at Midoriya. Honestly, I always thought nicknames were for people that are close friends. And, well, I don't know you well enough personally, but what the heck? You can call me Parsley if you want, but only if I can call you Kale. Your hair looks like kale. So yeah, call me Parsley and I'll call you Kale. What do you say? An awkward silence entered the space between the two as in the back of Midoriya's mind, he imagined himself beating the stuffing out of the part of his brain that thought saying that to Tokage was a good idea. The boy's cheeks began to blush in embarrassment as the silence went on. So much so that the boy wanted to slap his hands against his face to bury his head into the mattress back in his room in shame. But he noticed Tokage's lips purse, like she was holding back laughter. Wow! Alright, yep, that does it. You and I are Kale and Parsley from here on out. Ragdoll heard Tokage's laughter and walked over to the emerald-haired students as she stared the duo down. Hey, you two! Don't slack off! Yeah, you better get as much training in as you can, cause tonight's test of courage is gonna rattle you kids to the bone. Yeah, it's sure to be in one impressive performance! Setsuna wiped away the few tears of laughter in her eyes as she put her bottle down and got back to her feet. Alright, I needed that. Okay, Parsley. She's right. We slacked off long enough. Let's get back to it. Sure thing, Kale. Izuku and Tokage got back to their places as Midoriya again started the 60-second countdown on the ball sensor. However, what he and the others in the camp didn't know was that the events of the past 3 days were just the calm before the storm that would be roaring in later that evening. Roughly a mile away from the camp, the League of Villains were planning an all-out assault on the camp that night as they waited for the arrival of just 2 more people before they were ready to attack. The Pussycats said tonight would be a test of courage, but in reality, everyone in the camp were in for the fight of their lives. Thank you all for sticking around and I hope you enjoyed it. Before the video ends, I'd like to thank our Patreons and YouTube members for their continued support on this channel. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details are in the description below. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.